All right, how's everybody doing? This is the Comic Samurai. I want to welcome you to my next video. And tonight we're going to be doing another Friday comic challenge. Now, these are put out by Comic Collector Geek, and every Friday he challenges collectors to go through their long boxes and find comics that have covers that share a common theme. And tonight's theme is windows. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First up, we got The Complete Frank Miller Batman, and it's a hardback edition, but it collects all of the work that Frank Miller did on Batman. It's also got some Alan Moore work in it, but this cover, I've never seen this image reproduced anywhere before, but it's a classic Frank Miller with the Dark Knight silhouetted almost behind a window. I just like his take on windows right there. Next up, we got Flinch number 14. Now, this was an anthology series, kind of a horror series, put out by DC, and I had never seen anything like this in contemporary comic books. So when this came out, it hit every funny bone on my body. I just dug it. I like that kind of horror take on it. On this one, you've got a boarded up window done by Mike Kaluta. A lot of times they have beautiful cover artists come in too, but on this one, it's kind of a creepy scene that you gotta view through a boarded up window. Next up, we got Crossed Badlands number 13, and this has just got one of the most horrific covers that I've ever seen, incorporating a window in a NICU, I don't know if it's called NICU unit, but the baby unit in a hospital, and you can see the parent silhouettes there where they're like, no, don't hurt my baby, and there's a gruesome scene of a nurse just mowing down infants. They did it for the gore effect, but it worked on this one. What a creepy cover that is. Next up, we got Dead, She Said, put out by IDW, but this has got Steve Niles and Wrightson working on it, and I just love his work. That Wrightson. Nobody can do horror, gothic, Swamp Thing type creature covers like Bernie Wrightson, and he nailed another cover here where you got somebody crawling through a window there, and you got to open it up and find out what's the story. Next up, we got Fables number 11. And what I like about this one is the main story is not told in the foreground, what you're looking at, but it's told in the reflection, the background of the window. You don't know who Boy Blue, or whoever the character is afraid of, but the story's told in the reflection of the window. What a beautiful cover that is. All right, we're going to a classic one now. Now, this is the Uncanny X-Men number 122, and I believe that this is a Dave Cockrum cover, yes. And it's one of my favorites. I think this is one of the most underrated covers in that early X-Men run with Byrne and Cockrum those days. And I really like this one. What gets me is if you look up above there, you see Cyclops in the window, like, the danger room's out of control, like pounding on the glass. And I like that form of a window. Next up, we got Batman number 417. And this is a Mike Zeck cover. And I had to feature this one just because of how he drew all of the architecture in the background and the lighting with the windows being illuminated. I just love his take on the Gothic Gotham landscape. And nobody can capture the architecture of that area, that mythos in comic books like Mike Zeck. What a great image he captured there. Next up, we got Dark Horse Presents number 53, and I go back to Frank Miller on this one. And you can see that his take on windows has changed from that first one with Batman and this kind of stained glass Gothic window to this, just a rectangle divided with black lines like the shades. Oh, I like his take on windows in the Sin City run. Next up, we got Daredevil number 217, and this is Barry Windsor Smith's take on windows. And a lot of his artwork was accomplished by use of color. Nobody can do coloring like he can, and the way he illuminated his colors and chose to add splashes of colors here and there just adds to the magic and the mythos of Barry Windsor Smith. What a great Daredevil and Black Widow cover this is. Next up, we got the Punisher Limited Series number 4, and this is another Mike Zeck. And I had to show this one because it was the first one I remember thinking of when I heard about window covers. And I couldn't remember if it was this Limited Series number 4 or it was this Punisher Ongoing Series number 1 done by Klaus Janson. Both of them are very similar covers, and you have to wonder if Janson was riffing on Mike Zeck's work when he did this cover. It's kind of a callback. I can't believe how similar those two images are, but I really like displaying them next to each other. Next up, we got Daredevil and the Punisher Child's Play, and this was a Frank Miller, Klaus Janson collaboration, but this is a Jeff Darrow cover. He did Frank Miller work with Hard Boiled and things like that, Rusty the Boy Robot. But this one is an all-new cover, I believe, for this little collection of that comic series. And I just love that image of the Punisher bursting through a window. And that's what we're going to see here for a couple examples. Catwoman number 0 by DC, Jim Balent. And this is Catwoman bursting through a window. And it's pretty common trope in comic books to use that image of somebody bursting through a window. You get a lot of drama in it because you can draw all those glass shards. And there's always a sense of impending danger when that happens. Are they going to get cut? What are they entering into? It's a dramatic way to enter a room. And this Batgirl special number 1 done by Mike Mignola, is one of my favorites. His use of black hadn't gotten so overboard like it did with Hellboy. It was a little more restrained, and it was well done with a perfect balance on this one. I like his take on Batgirl. Next up, we got the New Titans, number 61. And this is the George Perez version of a window bursting through shot. And it's got Nightwing and Batman entering a foray. And you always know it's going to be a good time when windows are breaking and glass is falling. It's just one of my favorite tropes on covers. Next up, we got Backlash, number 2. And I believe that this is an Ian Churchill cover. No, Booth. It's a Booth cover. But I just love that Savage Dragon character, and when anybody else drew him in the Image universe besides Eric Larson, I was interested. I know Jim Lee did a cover, but this is Booth's take on the fin-headed, ferocious Savage Dragon, and I like how him and Backlash are falling through a window. They're not bursting through, but they're falling out of, and that's a different take, and I like it. Speaking of different takes, this is Marvel's number 0, and this is an Alex Ross iteration. And I love how you're looking into the corner of a room, like a restaurant in a skyscraper or something, and you can tell that the window comes to a point and there's Spider-Man clinging to a window. And I'd never seen that angle of him wall crawling before. It's always from the other side and you see him plastered to a wall. But to see through a window and see how he clings to it and how his feet touch it, I just love this image. What a great job Alex Ross did on that one. All right, we started with a flinch and we're going to end with a flinch. This is number 10, and I love how this one is able to tell a story. Your eye goes right away to the telephone booth, which is made up of different windows and it's illuminated, but it's not too interesting. What really gets you is when you start looking at every window in the buildings in the background, and every window tells a story on this one. There's some crime happening or something horrific or a chainsaw or a gun or a stabbing or something's going on in every single window on this cover. It really does tickle my funny bone. All right. Well, I hope you like taking a look at my favorite window comic book covers. I want to see what your favorites are. Thanks a lot and have a good one.